Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. May we start the session? May we start the session, sir? I'm waiting for the official permission from Patliputra Sahodaya to begin today's session. Actually, I'm sitting in a very remote area today, and I'm trying to join the session from there. So I hope everything is okay and you can hear me and you can see me also. As soon as somebody from Sahodaya gives the permission, I'll start the session. In the meantime, I'm just trying to share my screen. Do let me know if it's visible. Thank you. Okay. So welcome all of you to this session on blended learning. I'm Mitali Mukherjee, Principal Indirapuram Public School, girls, your resource person and your friend for the day. So the next 1 hour, we are going to discuss blended learning. I'm sure all of you must have heard about it, and there's not much to say which is absolutely new for you. But still, this topic is a very hot cake like topic. Because these days, everybody is talking about blended learning, hybrid learning. But actually, what is it? And before we start anything, any mode, we go into any mode, whether we go for complete online, complete offline, or we go blended, or we go hybrid, whatever we try to adapt, we must be very sure that that type of learning is going to help our students. So, it's very important for the teachers to have an insight that the type of teaching methodology that they are using or they're wanting to use or they're wishing to use, that technology should be useful for the students. That is very, very important. Okay. So let us try to understand what is blended learning today. And if you have any doubts, at the end of the session, you'll be given some time to put up your queries. So what is blended learning? You all know what is a blender, I remember, maximum use of blender in my life. What when I've done, when my son was a small child. You give him rice, he would not eat. You give him chapati, he would not eat. You give him fruits, he would not eat. You give him vegetables, he will not eat. So as a mother, the to my rescue came my blender. So what I did, I used to put my vegetables, my rice, my dal, my salt, everything I used to put and blend. And I used to make a fine paste and I used to put it in a bottle. And when he used to sleep, I used to put it in this mouth. So as a mother, I used to feel very satisfied that I've fed my son, I've given him something very, very healthy. So what is this blender actually? Once you put this dal and the rice and the fruits and the vegetables inside it, and you switch it on, after that, can you make out, friends, that this is the dal, this is the vegetable, this is the fruit? You cannot make out. It's all the same. It's all one. And that is why my son used to eat it, because he did not understand Mama has given me vegetables, Mama has given me dal and rice to eat. He used to think Mama has given me something different, which is good to eat. So blend means when everything becomes one. There is no difference between one ingredient and the other ingredient. They gel together so beautifully. The collaboration is so seamless that you cannot understand that which part is off and which part is technology. Are you getting my point? So already I've got some claps and some hearts out there in the chat box. Thank you so much. You made my day. So friends, this is the meaning of blended learning. So कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं which we will mix together और मेरे बच्चे को समझ में नहीं आएगा. मेरे बच्चे को लगेगा I am going through a seamless transaction of lessons, and the child will understand, and in this process we will use 1 2 3 4 5 new things. Okay, so this is the meaning of blended learning. As you can see in this beautiful figure that they have put in the blender computers and notebooks and book and pen and eraser, everything is gone together. Okay, so basically blended means that when we combine a beautiful combination of technology along with the traditional method of learning, that's known as blended learning. Okay, and this is happening at the same time. It's not that we are doing sometimes online, उसके बाद हम थोड़ी देर के बाद सिर्फ offline हो जाएंगे, फिर थोड़ी देर सिर्फ online जाएंगे. No, mix and match, and when this mix and match is happening, उसके बाद पता ही नहीं चलेगा कौन सा part क्या था. It is seamless. That is very, very important. So we can say that the fundamental purpose of school is learning and not teaching. So how my children are going to learn, that is very, very important. Now, actually some little bit of sound is coming from the neighboring room. Therefore, I just paused myself. Sorry for this. Now, why? इतनी तकलीफ क्यों उठाएं? क्लास में तो अच्छा ही पढ़ा रहे थे, जा रहे थे, लेक्चर दे रहे थे, चॉक एंड टॉक कर रहे थे, वापस आ रहे थे. प्रॉब्लम क्या है मैम? प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आपके चॉक एंड टॉक से सारे बच्चों को नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. There are some students who need something different, something more. दिल मांगे more. They are that kind of students who are not able to understand only through chalk and talk method. तो आप उनके लिए कुछ एक्स्ट्रा करोगे. और वो एक्स्ट्रा क्या करना है? That is today we will discuss blended learning. क्यों? Because the purpose of school is learning, not teaching. A teacher is going to the class and the teacher is teaching with full dedication. बहुत अच्छे words use कर रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छी उनकी subject knowledge है, उन्होंने खूब मेहनत करी, उन्होंने बोर्ड पे अच्छे से लिखा सब कुछ, उन्होंने copy correction सब कुछ कर दिया. लेकिन जब मैं क्लास में गई और बच्चे से पूछा, बट बेटा जरा explain me Pythagoras theorem, then the child is not able to say. तो आपने तो बहुत मेहनत करी, आपने बहुत अच्छी टीचिंग की, लेकिन बच्चे की लर्निंग कुछ नहीं हुई. तो when learning is not happening, then teaching is of no use. So we say that learning is more important than teaching. Therefore, we need to focus more on learning with technology and not learning technology. इस बात को याद रखें. हम ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग जरूर करेंगे, लेकिन प्लीज जो लोग 50s में हैं, जो लोग अब रिटायर करने वाले 2-4 साल में, वो घबराएं नहीं. हम लोग भी बहुत घबरा गए थे जब वो that pandemic came, and we were asked to go online. I mean, it was a big question mark on our existence. ये ऑनलाइन क्या होता है, कैसे ऑनलाइन जाए, ऑनलाइन क्लासरूम क्या कॉन्सेप्ट होता है. So the gut is, you have to understand this, that you have to mix your traditional method of teaching with technology to make the traditional method more interesting, to make it more effective, to make it more better for the students. But हमारा पर्पस टेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ाना नहीं, हम कंप्यूटर टीचर्स नहीं, हम प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं पढ़ा रहे, हम ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं पढ़ा रहे. आई एम नॉट टीचिंग जावा टू द चिल्ड्रन, आई एम नॉट टीचिंग एचटीएमएल टू द स्टूडेंट्स. दिस इज नॉट माय पर्पस. आई एम अ मैथ्स टीचर, आई एम एन इंग्लिश टीचर, आई एम अ हिंदी टीचर, आई एम अ संस्कृत टीचर. सो मैं टेक्नोलॉजी उतना ही यूज करूंगी जिससे मेरे बच्चे को वो कंटेंट समझने में ज्यादा आसानी हो. I hope you are understanding this. So this is the meaning of blended learning. Please don't confuse it with technology only. Now, let me put this into a slideshow view so that the screen is better visible to you. What is a blend? As you can see, this example I gave you. Blend means using the best delivery methodologies available for a specific objective, including online classroom instruction, electronic performance, paper-based, formalized, informalized job solutions. Blend means क्या? जितनी अच्छी चीजें हैं उनको लाओ और उनको क्लासरूम में यूज करो. ये अच्छी चीजें का मतलब ये नहीं कि सिर्फ कंप्यूटर आपको यूज करना है. Before the pandemic, when we used to talk about blended learning, we used to tell this in the workshops, that in your classroom, there are 4 types of learners. VARK theory. There are visual learners, there are auditory learners, there are read-write learners, there are kinesthetic learners. तो जब भी आप कोई लेसन प्लान बनाते हो, जब भी आप कुछ पढ़ाते हैं क्लास में, you must take care that it should have something for all the 4 types of learners. That means when you're teaching any topic, suppose I want to teach photosynthesis in the class. So if I'm teaching photosynthesis in the class, then I should give some lectures also for my auditory learners. I should show some pictures also for my visual learners. I should do some activity also for my kinesthetic learners. And I should do some reading and writing also for my read-write learners. Actually, this was the concept of blended learning before. But after the pandemic, this does remain there. Please don't misunderstand. This has to be there. If you're teaching in your class, even if you're amalgamating technology along with your normal classes, and if you're not focusing on work or all 4 types of learners, then also the children will not understand. Many of the students will remain in your class and will not understand what you're teaching. So along with that, now another dimension has been attached to blended learning, and that is technology. That is technology. Are you understanding it? So blend means सारी अच्छी चीजें आप ladies जितनी भी हैं वहां, they use a blender, no? एक छोटा सा पफ होता है. You use it for blending your makeup. थोड़ा सा मेकअप यहाँ ज्यादा है, थोड़ा सा मेकअप यहाँ ज्यादा है, थोड़ा सा मेकअप यहाँ ज्यादा है, तो आप क्या करते हैं, छोटा सा ब्लेंडर पफ आता है, उसको लेकर आप सबको मिक्स एंड मैच कर देते हो कि सारा हिस्सा एक जैसा लगे. तो वही हम पढ़ाई में करेंगे. थोड़ा सा कंप्यूटर डाल देंगे, थोड़ा सा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सपोर्ट डाला, थोड़ा सा पेन एंड पेपर डालेंगे, थोड़ा सा फॉर्मल सिस्टम, थोड़ा सा इनफॉर्मल सिस्टम, ये सारी चीजों को मिलाकर एक खूबसूरत सा क्लास बनाएंगे जिसमें हर बच्चे को, whether he is visual or he or she is auditory or read write or kinesthetic, everybody will learn and grow. Are you understanding? I hope blended learning feature is quite clear. Next, what is the definition of blended learning? Blended learning is an approach to learning that combines face-to-face as well as online. अभी हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? We are completely into online. Now, this session of ours. अभी अगर मैं आपसे ऑफलाइन क्लास लेती और उसी क्लास में आपको ये प्रेजेंटेशन दिखाती, that would be a blended classroom. Very simple. That I am offline also, and I'm showing you the presentation also as an on required. So online as well as offline will complement each other with their particular strengths. दोनों की अपनी strengths हैं, दोनों की अपनी weaknesses हैं. So both of them will complement each other. This is the meaning of on blended learning. Now, ये बहुत beautiful सा एक figure is there on your screen. Can you see that? Such a beautiful one. You see, content is the same. आप लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में जो ब्रेन का फिगर है वो देखिए. The content is the same. उतना ही धागा है, उतना ही knowledge है. But when that knowledge is designed properly, kept properly, then what happens? It becomes useful for us. आप लोगों में से बहुत सारे लोग knitting करते होंगे ना, although I don't do, but I've seen this. When you get that unka bola and it gets all, jumbled up, then what happens? Can you use it? So सबसे पहले मैं अपनी मम्मी को देखती थी. She used to purchase that लच्छा वाला, and then she used to make a nice ball out of it, and then she used to start knitting. The same thing is happening here. Now, in your brain is a jargon of information, so much information you have. But when everything is placed in a proper way, in a sequential way, in a designed way in your brain, then you learn so much better. Learning becomes fun, learning becomes easy. So the focus shift to learning objective from delivery methodology. That means imparting training to disseminate knowledge via formal and collaboration methods. Formal method means जो ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच है, हम जैसे पढ़ा रहे थे हम वैसे ही पढ़ाएंगे. नाउ यू ऐड सम मेथड्स मोर. हमने प्रेजेंटेशन ऐड कर लिया, हमने स्मार्ट बोर्ड ऐड कर लिया, हमने कंप्यूटर ऐड कर लिया, हमने कुछ एप्स ऐड कर लिया. तो क्या हो गया? माय क्लासेस बिकम नाउ all in one. That means a blended classroom. Now, what is blended learning? For whom is it? Please try to understand. Blended learning is great for visual learners because when you use computers, when you use figures, when you use pics, when you use models, then visual learners learn a lot. They grasp a lot. Blended learning is geared towards enhancing critical thinking skills. That means when you use blended learning, that means the critical thinking skills of the child improve. क्योंकि आप कंप्यूटर यूज कर रहे हो ना, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर रहे हो, तो आप बहुत सारे क्विजेस कर सकते हैं, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन दे सकते हो, बहुत सारी वर्कशीट्स कर सकते हो, बहुत सारी पजल्स कर सकते हो बहुत इजीली. तो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग गेट्स ट्रिगर्ड इन द स्टूडेंट्स, व्हिच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Continually challenging every student at their own level through iReady program. आप देखते होंगे, it's very simple thing. I'm giving you one small example. Those schools who are using smart boards, आप देखते होंगे in that software itself there are some quizzes which are inbuilt. Now the teacher teaches a topic and then gives a quiz. Come on. अब आपको क्विज में ना बच्चे को ये बताने की जरूरत नहीं होती that your answer is right or wrong. The quiz itself says right answer, please clap. Wrong answer, sorry. These are the kind of messages which come from the quizzes. So they are self-accessible. The child can assess himself or herself कि भैया मैं सही हूँ या मैं गलत हूँ. Teacher's intervention becomes very, very less. Interactive learning for every student at that particular level. You have levels also, level A, level B, level C, level G. एक पार्ट खत्म हो गया एक टेस्ट, एक पार्ट खत्म हो गया एक टेस्ट. ये बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है. जो लोग गेम्स खेलते हैं, हमारे बच्चे कंप्यूटर गेम्स खेलते हैं ना, सो दे आर इन लेवल ए, लेवल बी, लेवल सी, लेवल डी. तो बच्चा अपने अपने लेवल से पॉइंट बना कर आगे जाता है. सेम थिंग हैपेंस इन लर्निंग आल्सो. इट अलाउज स्टूडेंट्स टू वर्क एट देयर ओन स्पीड एंड एबिलिटी लेवल. ऑफ कोर्स जस्ट नाउ आई वाज टेलिंग यू दिस ओनली. Fosters length of time on tasks. Therefore students learn to stay for longer periods of time. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आप एक बच्चे को कहेंगे कि बेटा now you're in level 1, you have to go to level 2, and using a computer or using a tab or using a mobile digital technology, आप देखेंगे बच्चा फोकस्ड होगा और वो लंबे ड्यूरेशन तक बैठ के पढ़ सकता है. क्योंकि हमने पैंडेमिक में इस चीज को देखा है ना. आप आज के बच्चों को देखिए, इफ यू गिव देम अ कंप्यूटर और अ मोबाइल, they can sit with that mobile for hours. But if you give the child a book, will the child sit with the book for hours? No. So, for increasing their sitting time, for increasing their focused learning time, we use this digital technology, which is a very good part of blended learning. Next, it cultivates reciprocal learning strategies. Reciprocal learning strategies means, suppose you have completed one part of learning और आपने quiz दिया computer पे. Now you did not score good. Then what will happen? The software will take you back to that level. चलो फिर से शुरू करते हैं, which normally doesn't happen in the classroom. In the classroom, what happens? We complete a particular portion, we assess the children, and even if they're not good, what do we do? Do we move back? We move ahead. हम आगे बढ़ जाते हैं और फिर उन बच्चों को क्या करते हैं? हम remedial में भेज देते हैं. But here, when the child is working with the software, himself or herself, the child can move back forth as per his or her requirements and necessities. Next, students apply classroom strategies to problem solving online lessons. मतलब आपने क्लास में जो पढ़ा, आप ऑनलाइन में उसको यूज करेंगे. Okay. Online learning skills are being transferred to classroom learning. Very good. This is reciprocal. What you're learning online, that you're transferring in your classroom also. That means from classroom to online and online to classroom, दोनों learning आपकी चल रही है. Now, what is not blended learning? This is very important for us to understand because many of us have this misconception कि blended learning ये भी है. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं. What is not blended learning? A misconception is that by simply adding technology in your school day is a blended learning approach. मतलब ये कि अगर आप स्मार्ट बोर्ड पे किसी टॉपिक को पढ़ा दे रहे हैं तो दैट इज ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग. अगर आपने एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री दिखा दी वो ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग हो गया. अगर आपने कोई मूवी दिखा दी किसी टॉपिक पे वो ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग हो गया. अगर आप कंप्यूटर पे एक वर्कशीट बच्चे को करने के लिए दे दी, अपनी पीडीएफ शेयर कर दिया, वो ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग है. इट्स नॉट ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग. Learning is not happening there. Blended learning means when for teaching a particular topic, for teaching a particular thing, you are using technology to teach that child, to make the child learn something. Not only for teaching, to make the child learn something. There it is blended. Okay. Blended learning approach is the teacher's ability to use technology to personalize the learning process for students. Blended learning is an effective way to maximize teacher direct instruction. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है that आप स्मार्ट बोर्ड पे गए और you switch on a nice movie or a nice documentary और आपका काम हो गया. बहुत समय ऐसा होता है हमारे स्मार्ट बोर्ड्स पे, हम देखते हैं टीचर ने कुछ चला दिया बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सा और फिर हम टीचर एक जगह खड़े हैं या बैठे हैं. Now what is happening when you ask the teacher says, ma'am, I'm teaching digestion through this. Or I'm teaching photosynthesis through this, or I'm teaching climate through this. ऐसा नहीं होता friends. You are showing a movie to your students. You are not teaching, and maybe by that movie the child is learning something. But what you are trying to make them learn, whether that is being happening or not, that you cannot assure. That means only showing them a documentary is not blended. When you show them a documentary or a movie or whatever you want to show them, and you put your inputs also into it, and you explain, and the child learns, that is known as blended. मतलब blended कभी ये नहीं कहता है कि आप original traditional teaching को छोड़ दीजिए. ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग हमेशा ये कहता है कि आपके ओरिजिनल जो टीचिंग ट्रेडिशनल मेथड है उसके साथ आप 1 2 3 4 नई चीजें ऐड कर दीजिए. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग? आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? ओके. नाउ की फैक्टर्स फॉर इंप्लीमेंटिंग अ सक्सेसफुल ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग. अगर आप एक सक्सेसफुल ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग अपने क्लास में करना चाहते हैं तो व्हाट आर द की फैक्टर्स? आपको क्या क्या करना होगा? प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. फैक्टर 1, very simple it is. All of you can do it, you know. And at the end of the session, I will share some names with you. आप उन names को note कर लें. वो सारे apps को आप थोड़ा सा घर पे practice कर लें. And in the online, if you use it, I'm telling you, friends, your children will love you much, much, much more. I'm sure they love you, but they will love you all the more. So factor 1 is select a technology tool that adapts to each student's abilities. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है ना in our schools. We select something which is very high funda, which goes beyond the student's level. So you have to be very, very selective कि मुझे क्या select करना है, कौन से ऐप पे जाना है, क्या बताना है मेरे बच्चों को ताकि उनको समझ में आए. Number 2, the instructional program should capture student data. Very important. अगर आप एक बहुत सुंदर ऐप यूज कर रहे हैं, बहुत सुंदर सुंदर डांस है उसमें, वीडियो है, फलाना है, ठिकाना है, दिखा दिया आपने, लेकिन आपके स्टूडेंट्स के रिमार्क्स, आपके स्टूडेंट्स के रिस्पॉन्सेज उसमें कवर ही नहीं हुए तो क्या फायदा? कैसे आपको समझ में आएगा आपके बच्चे को समझ में आया या नहीं? यूजलेस है वो. अब बहुत सुंदर, इससे अच्छा आप शोले जाकर दिखा दो बच्चे को हॉल में, वो बहुत अच्छी मूवी है, ब्लॉकबस्टर मूवी है, दिल वाले दुल्हनिया ले जाएंगे, दिखा दो. लेकिन हमारा पर्पस वो नहीं है. हमारा पर्पस बच्चे को एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री या मूवी दिखाना नहीं है. हमारा पर्पस ये है कि हम जो टॉपिक पढ़ाना चाहते हैं अपने बच्चे को, वो टॉपिक मेरा बच्चा असिमिलेट किया कि नहीं. कैसे समझेंगे? When I ask some questions, when I put up some doubts and my child answers through quizzes, through responses, through one-word answers, whatever it is, then thorough questions, yes, then I will understand whether my child has learned or not. क्योंकि मैंने आपको शुरू में बताया, the purpose of school is not teaching, the purpose of school is learning. Next factor of blended learning is very, very important, and that is, see my screen, you know, sometimes so many things are there, it keeps on disturbing me. Very naughty it has become. Okay, so the next factor is The program should recommend next steps for teachers. Suppose आप blended learning किया, आपने students के responses को capture किया. After that you realize, ना, my students have not understand this topic as much as I wanted to. मैं अभी भी मेरे बच्चों में कुछ कमी है. तो फिर क्या करना है? तो जो भी एप्लीकेशन आप यूज कर रहे हो, जो भी डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी आप यूज कर रहे हैं, दैट डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी शुड गिव यू अ चांस टू रीडिजाइन योर लेसन प्लान. आप फिर सोचो, अच्छा मेरा रिस्पॉन्स अच्छा नहीं है, चलो इसको ऐसे पढ़ाती हूँ, अब फिर रिस्पॉन्स लूंगी और देखूंगी रिस्पॉन्स अच्छा आया नहीं. अगर ये नहीं हो रहा है, that means your blended technology is failing. Next, the program should provide resources for teacher-led instruction. What is the meaning of teacher-led instruction? इसका मतलब जो मैं बार बार आपसे कह रही हूँ, that blended learning does not mean learning through technology. Blended learning means blend, mix, मिलाना है traditional learning and digital learning. So what are the key components of blended learning? पहला कंपोनेंट सेल्फ पेस्ड ई लर्निंग. अगर बच्चा खुद से सीख रहा है तो वो डिसाइड करता है ना, मैं अभी लेवल 1 में हूँ, लेवल 2 में कल जाऊंगा, आज नहीं जाऊंगा. बच्चे को मैंने आज रात ही में लेवल 2 पहुंच जाएगा. इसका मतलब ये है कि द चाइल्ड इज डूइंग सेल्फ पेस्ड लर्निंग. नंबर 2, face to face training. That means traditional method is there. Mobile learning is also a part of blended learning. Social learning is also a part of blended learning. This means informal learning. आप अपने experiences से जो सीख रहे हैं, आप मार्केट में कुछ सीख रहे हैं, फिश मार्केट पे गए तो आपने सीखा भाई फिश को कैसे पहचानते हैं. वर्चुअल क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग, यानी द चाइल्ड इज नॉट हियर, द चाइल्ड इज समवेयर एल्स, जैसे अभी हम लोग कर रहे हैं. दिस इज एग्जांपल ऑफ वर्चुअल क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग. ओके, सेल्फ पेस्ड ई लर्निंग. पहले एक करके कंपोनेंट्स को समझते हैं. सेल्फ पेस्ड ई लर्निंग का मतलब क्या हुआ? इट इंक्रीजेस द एक्सेस टू लर्निंग मटेरियल एनी टाइम. जैसे मैंने आपको अभी समझाया, आई थिंक दिस इज क्लियर, यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट द चाइल्ड विल गो टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल एज पर हिज और हर डिजायर, नॉट पर योर फोर्स. ओके, जैसे बहुत जगह होती है, एजुकेशन भी ऐसी होती है, यू नो, जैसे लोग कहते हैं कि ठीक है आपने एक कोर्स में एनरोल कर लिया, आपको 3 साल के अंदर इसको मान लीजिए खत्म करना है. अब आपके ऊपर है, आप सेमेस्टर 2 सेमेस्टर एक ही महीने में खत्म कर लीजिए, फिर 2 महीने आराम कीजिए, फिर 3rd सेमेस्टर कीजिए, या आप 6 सेमेस्टर एक बार में खत्म कर लीजिए, आपका कोर्स खत्म हो गया. तो दिस इज सेल्फ पेस्ड. आई विल डिसाइड कि मुझे कितने फास्ट जाना है. यहाँ क्या हो रहा है अभी फॉर्मल सिस्टम में? क्या हो रहा है? द चाइल्ड हैज टू बी इन क्लास 1 फॉर 12 मंथ्स, द चाइल्ड हैज टू बी इन क्लास 2 फॉर 12 मंथ्स. चाहे उसको वो सब पढ़ा हुआ हो, फिर भी चाहे उसको कुछ नहीं समझ में आया, फिर भी उसको प्रमोशन मिल जाएगा, वो 3 में चला जाएगा. सो दिस इज नॉट सेल्फ पेस्ड. ओके, नेक्स्ट, फेस टू फेस ट्रेनिंग. यू अंडरस्टैंड, दैट मीन्स द ओल्ड ट्रेडिशनल मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग. Number 3 is mobile learning. Mobile learning means on-the-go training reinforces use of new process and practices, relies on handheld devices, just-in-time information, on-job support, good for pre and post-training follow-up. Mobile learning, मतलब वो handy है ना, wherever you go, you can always keep yourself updated. What is social learning? When you learn something through teamwork, through collaboration, through knowledge sharing, through feedback, easy acceptance. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, सोशल लर्निंग में क्या है कि अगर आप अपने बच्चे को सब्जी की दुकान में, हरी सब्जी की दुकान में भी ले जाते हैं, वहां भी उसकी कुछ लर्निंग होती है. वो सीखता है, अच्छा पाव मतलब 250 ग्राम, 350 ग्राम कैसे कैलकुलेट होगा, दिस इज टिंडा, दिस इज भिंडी, दिस इज परवल. द चाइल्ड अंडरस्टैंड्स. You can teach him so many things through social learning. And the 5th component of blended learning is virtual classroom training webinar, जो अभी हो रहा है. Very cost effective. Recording can be made available for future use. So ये सारे किसमें आते हैं? They are all the methods of blended learning. You can mix and match anything. आप वेबिनार के साथ आपके ट्रेडिशनल क्लासरूम को मिक्स कर लो, आप ट्रेडिशनल क्लासरूम के साथ मोबाइल टीचिंग को मिक्स कर लो, आप मोबाइल टीचिंग के साथ वर्चुअल को मिक्स कर लो. whatever you wish to, that is your wish, your desire. There is no restriction onto this. Now the last part we have come to, that what are the types of blended learning classroom. Blended learning classroom के types क्या है? अभी सबसे पहले आप समझो ब्रिक एंड मोटर. ब्रिक एंड मोटर मतलब हमारे ट्रेडिशनल क्लासरूम्स, इतने बाई इतने का कमरा, ईटा का कमरा, दैट इज ब्रिक एंड मोटर. इसमें क्या होता है? वी गिव ट्रेडिशनल इंस्ट्रक्शंस, टेक्नोलॉजी रिच इंस्ट्रक्शन, दैट मीन स्मार्ट बोर्ड भी होते हैं उसमें, सो टेक्नोलॉजी रिच इंस्ट्रक्शंस आते हैं. दूसरा क्या होता है? ऑनलाइन लर्निंग. ऑनलाइन लर्निंग मीन्स इनफॉर्मल और फुल टाइम. मतलब आप जैसे मान लीजिए मैंने कोर्स में एनरोल किया है चेन्नई से, तो मैं फुल टाइम ऑनलाइन ही कोर्स कर रही हूँ, देर इज नो क्लासरूम कॉन्सेप्ट, देर इज नो गोइंग टू द स्कूल कॉन्सेप्ट, फुल ऑनलाइन में मैंने काम किया, मुझे सर्टिफिकेट, मैंने ऑनलाइन एग्जाम दिया, मुझे सर्टिफिकेट मिल गया, बात खत्म। एंड इनफॉर्मल ऑनलाइन मतलब मेरी अपनी मर्जी है, मेरा जब मन करेगा मैं ये सेमेस्टर कंप्लीट करूंगी, मेरा मन करेगा मैं 6 महीना ब्रेक लूंगी, फिर अगला सेमेस्टर पे जाऊंगी। सेल्फ पेस्ड इनफॉर्मल लर्निंग, कोई फॉर्मल सिस्टम नहीं कि आपको इतने दिन में इतना कोर्स कंप्लीट करना है, आपको इतने दिन में इस लेवल तक पहुंच जाना है, नथिंग, नो सच रिस्ट्रिक्शंस आर देयर। नाउ कम्स ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग। व्हाट इज ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग? देखिए आप इस लाइन को ध्यान से देखिए फ्रेंड्स, ब्रिक एंड मॉर्टर एंड ऑनलाइन दोनों का एमालगमेशन, दोनों का मिक्सअप, दोनों का ब्लेंड इज नोन एज ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग। आप इस लाइन को ध्यान से देखिए, उसमें ब्रिक एंड मॉर्टर भी है, उसमें ऑनलाइन भी है, दोनों को कंबाइन करके हमने बना दिया ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग। ना ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग के 4 मॉडल्स बहुत फेमस हैं। पहला मॉडल रोटेशन मॉडल, दूसरा मॉडल फ्लेक्स मॉडल, तीसरा मॉडल सेल्फ ब्लेंड मॉडल और चौथा मॉडल एनरिच्ड वर्चुअल मॉडल। 4 तरीके से ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग को यू कैन कैरी आउट इन योर क्लासरूम्स। रोटेशन, फ्लेक्स, सेल्फ ब्लेंड एंड एनरिच्ड वर्चुअल मॉडल। ना रोटेशन के अंदर भी 4 टाइप्स होते हैं, स्टेशन रोटेशन मॉडल, लैब रोटेशन मॉडल, फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम मॉडल, इंडिविजुअल रोटेशनल मॉडल। बहुत इट्स वेरी इजी, यू नो, नेम से ही आपको समझ में आ जाएगा, इसमें कोई बहुत बड़ा टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है आपको समझने के लिए। सो इट्स वेरी सिंपल, सो लेट अस डिस्कस दिस वन बाय वन, वेरी इजी। नंबर 1, so 5 types are there: flipped, face to face, rotational, flex and enriched virtual model. now पहला क्या है? flipped model. flip मतलब इधर का इधर और इधर का उधर. This is what we understand by flip. Let us keep it very simple, okay? Because if you understand the simple things, you will always remember it. Otherwise, you have to learn definitions, and learning rote memory, I don't believe in. And I'm sure none of you believe because you're teachers. So what is this flipped model? Flipped model is very simple. The original learning framework gets inverted. जैसे मैंने कहा ना, इधर का उधर हो गया. Instead of learners attending face-to-face training session followed by some online self-paced learning, this model puts the focus on online learning. Learners consume the prescribed content on their own time, either at home or before the class, and in class time is devoted to active learning and applying the newly learned skills. कहने का मतलब ये कि नॉर्मल क्लास में क्या होता है, पहले टीचर पढ़ाता है, उसके बाद उसको गोस टू ऑनलाइन कि भैया ये मैंने पढ़ाया, देखो इसको आप ऐसे समझ सकते हो, एंड देन क्वेश्चन आंसर्स इन ऑफिस. यहाँ उल्टा हो जाए, पहले हम बच्चे को दे देंगे, चलो आई एम गिविंग यू दिस कंटेंट, इसको पढ़ के आना है, कल इसको देख कर आना है, इसको समझ कर आना है, अपने लेवल से, अपने पेस में. बच्चा आया समझ के. अब बच्चा जब क्लास में आया, देन आई एम टेलिंग द चाइल्ड, सी this is what you did, what you learned, what you understood from the online content. Now let us use that knowledge in the classroom. चलो ये मॉडल बनाओ, वो प्रेजेंटेशन बनाओ, वो चार्ट बनाओ, ये ग्रुप डिस्कशन करो on whatever you have learned yesterday from your online content. आपने जो पढ़ा इसको हम क्लासरूम में अप्लाई करेंगे. ये फ्लिप्ड मॉडल हो गया, उल्टा चेंज कर दिया हमने. ठीक है, अंडरस्टूड. नेक्स्ट, face-to-face driver model. What is face-to-face driver model? This is very close to the traditional training because most of the training is taking place face-to-face. मतलब teacher student सामने सामने बैठे हैं, and this is happening. This approach offers individual, personalized support to learners who are struggling to grab the new concepts or are failing behind the training curriculum. अब जब आप, जाहिर सी बात है, जब टीचर्स आ रहे हैं, सामने हैं आपके गुरु, आपके सामने हैं, तो कोई भी आपको प्रॉब्लम हो, आप तुरंत कहेंगे सर प्लीज, मैम प्लीज, मुझे ये समझा दो, मुझे ये बता दो, मुझे ये समझा दो, मुझे वो दिखा दो, मुझे ये करवा दो. तो टीचर और स्टूडेंट सामने सामने हैं, सारे डाउट्स क्लियर, सब कुछ क्लियर. सब पर्सनलाइज्ड ट्रेनिंग, वेरी क्लोज टू द ट्रेडिशनल मॉडल. अगला है रोटेशनल मॉडल. As the name suggests, सिर्फ आप नाम याद रखो, आपको सब समझ में आ जाएगा, आपको अलग से याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं. और रोटेशनल मॉडल में क्या होता है, एक फिक्स शेड्यूल होता है. इतने बच्चे अभी करेंगे फेस टू फेस और इतने बच्चे जाएंगे ऑनलाइन में, फिर वो ऑनलाइन वाले बच्चे आ जाएंगे फेस टू फेस में, फेस टू फेस वाले चले जाएंगे ऑनलाइन में, मतलब ये रोटेशन होते रहता है, कुछ ऑनलाइन कुछ फेस टू फेस, कुछ फेस टू फेस कुछ ऑनलाइन, और एक टाइम फ्रेम भी बना हुआ रहता है. somebody will be online इतने देर and you will be traditional in the traditional mode. Now when your time is over, traditional will come to online and online will go to traditional. So this model is excellent. Some children are grasp very well in traditional model, so they will also get the benefit. Some are very good grasping power in online, so they will also be benefited. So दोनों टाइप के बच्चे, हर तरीके के बच्चे को इससे फायदा होता है रोटेशनल मॉडल से. नेक्स्ट इज फ्लेक्स मॉडल. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ फ्लेक्स? फ्लेक्स आप लोग सबको पता होगा ना, आजकल हम लोग सब फ्लेक्स यूज करते हैं. तो फ्लेक्स का मॉडल क्या है? द फ्लेक्स ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग मॉडल गिव्स लर्नर्स अ flexibility and personalized learning experience that is specifically tailored to their needs. यानी मुझे जरूरत है मैम, मुझे ना ज्यादा जरूरत है ऑनलाइन की, मैं ऑनलाइन में ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल हूं तो मैं ऑनलाइन करूंगी. अब कोई कहता है नहीं मैम, आई एम मोर कंफर्टेबल इन द ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच, आई विल गो टू द क्लास एंड आई विल लर्न. सो चलो तुम्हारे लिए वही सही. So this model will allow online learning to take the lead as a co-transmitter of the material in the overall learning experience, while instructors provide support in small group settings. अब मैं कहती नहीं मुझे ऑनलाइन में ये चीज नहीं समझ में आया, नहीं समझ में आ रहा, I am not into it. So there will be an instructor who will help me in face-to-face customization also. So this means I will do online also and I will do follow the traditional approach also. I hope you have understood. Lastly, we come to the last model, which is the enriched virtual model. मतलब ये virtual ही होगा. Its major component is online. Its major component is online, but ये enriched है. Enriched का मतलब क्या हुआ? That learners go through a scheduled instructor-led classroom session. मतलब basically वो online ही है, लेकिन for a fixed duration of time, for some period of time, you have to go through that face-to-face transaction also. होता है ना, बहुत सारे कोर्सेज होती हैं कि आपका 1 साल का कोर्स है, उसमें 8 महीने ऑनलाइन है, लेकिन 2 महीने आपको आके पढ़ना पड़ेगा या 2 वीक आपको आके समझना पड़ेगा. सो दैट इज नोन एज द एनरिच्ड वर्चुअल. Am I clear? Are you all clear with all the model types? May I have some answers in the chat box? Some funny faces also I can see. Thanks for the thumbs up. Everybody, any special model you need once more explanation, or this much is clear? Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let's move ahead. Just a small comparison. Advantages of blended learning. What are the advantages? Now you've understood, no? Now I'm sure you can quote these advantages yourself. I don't have to tell you. Now, what are the advantages of blended learning? For that, it is very important to bear in your mind that different methods is suitable for different students. Yes, of course, that means the method are according to some specific group of students. For everybody, everything doesn't suit. Like, for example, even if I purchase a very costly Van Heusen shirt, and if I say that all male members of my family are supposed to wear it, is it possible? सबका साइज अलग है, सबकी फिटिंग अलग है, सबका बॉडी कंस्ट्रक्शन अलग है, सबका कॉम्प्लेक्शन अलग है, मे बी जो कलर मैंने चूज किया वो सब पे नहीं अच्छा लगे. सो इवन इफ यू आर यूजिंग द purchasing the most costly shirt, it may not look good or it may not fit everybody. So that means you have to tailor instructions. You have to use differentiated instructions for students. One instruction, one lesson plan is not for everybody. So and specific about it. Now next, culture will be third day. They can learning हुई clear, positive results नहीं है, you go back. You can go back also. Okay, you can go back also, and then you can learn. Is it very clear? Okay. Next, materials are available all the time because you're online. Recording is also available. Material is also available, so you don't have to worry. आज मेरा क्लास मिस हो गया, आज मेरी कॉपी नहीं कंप्लीट होगी, फिर मम्मा जाएगी कॉपी को फिर मुझे पूरा लिखना पड़ेगा. ये सारे प्रॉब्लम होंगे. Students can prepare for class. As I told you, you remember, is given the content, they can prepare themselves before the session, and then they the session to apply those whatever in the classroom. So they can explore, they can learn, they can do pre-reading, they can be pre-prepared, they engage themselves in so many kinds of activities. So for learners, it's wonderful. It can improve retention. Why? So there's a lot of independent. You can learn in your own pace. You don't have to depend on the teacher. If the system is informal, you can learn independently. And of course, new technology helps the students. बच्चों को आपने देखा, मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ, पैंडेमिक के समय क्या हुआ? The teachers became the students and the students became the teachers. This is what happened during the pandemic. Somebody saying my voice is cracking. Is it so? Voice is not clear. Is my voice clear? Some yes, some no. I'm using the same device, same thing. Chal, at least you can hear me, no? So, what happened? The students became teachers and teachers became students. क्योंकि बहुत समय जब हम Zoom या WebEx वगैरह ट्राई कर रहे थे, समझ ही में नहीं आता where to click, how to do. तो बच्चे में सिखाते थे, मैम that side, mic, मैम please switch it on, click it. बच्चे समझाते हैं. So, new technology is always fascinating for the students. It may be a little troublesome for old people like us, but students enjoy it. Okay, next. Advantages for educators, not only for students. Blended learning is a gift for educators also. How? Teaching cross contents. You are teaching English, but suppose you're using technology, you can blend, some concepts of math, some concepts of science, some concepts of languages, some concepts of computer. So it allows cross-curricular linkage, which is the need of the hour. Now, nobody talks about only English, only maths. We are all talking about integration, art integration, music integration, amalgamation of subjects. So this is where blended learning is very helpful for that. Next, technology can facilitate different pedagogical approaches. Yes, as a teacher, just standing in front of the board, speaking, वो आप जितना रिलेट नहीं कर पाओगे अपने बच्चों से. अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी की मदद लोगे ना, your class will become interesting, your class will become beautiful, your children will start enjoying. और जो आप नॉर्मली बोल कर नहीं समझा पा रहे थे, टेक्नोलॉजी 1 मिनट में समझा देगी बच्चों को. और प्लस आपको बच्चों को तुरंत, you will get answers also. The assessment can be taken तुरंत. You can get the feedback. You will know that where you have done well and where you have not done well. So that is how it is very, very helpful for the educators also. You can set goals for your children and track their progress as well. आप बच्चों को बता सकते हो, चलो यहाँ तक खत्म करना, level A complete करना. And if the child goes for level A and does the questions, as a teacher, you have the responses also. Falana students have attempted level A and this is their grade marks. These children have not attempted level A. These children have gone to level B. So at a glance, the teacher has all the answers. And of course, which I was talking about again and again, when you use blended learning, what are you actually doing? You are creating a tailored approach. Tailored approach. आप हर बच्चे के पास पहुंचने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं through your work theory. You're giving some visual inputs, you're doing some activities, you are doing some read write, you're doing some auditory. So you are actually reaching out to each and every student of your class. Now, what are the disadvantages of blended learning? Of course, as with many methods of teaching and learning, there is a potential for downsides when it comes to blended learning. Below, we have picked up some of the drawbacks for both learners and educators. First disadvantage for learners is access to resource. When you go online, then definitely you need some technology. And maybe learners are not having access to that technology. Especially I'm talking about rural India. Your Bihar, all schools are not in Patna. There are schools which are outside Patna and where blended technology may not be very successful because that technology, that software, that network, that device is not available to everyone. Okay. Supporting individual learners. There is no catch-all approach to education. That means when you are using, this online method, I know you are going by your pace, you're going by everything. But what the hands holding that the teacher can do, the level of support that the teacher can render, that might miss if teachers and students are not very, very careful. And of course, there's a lack of direct contact. दूर दूर से वेबिनार से कितनी रिश्ते बनाएंगे, पास पास मिलेंगे, गले लगेंगे, बच्चों को प्यार करेंगे, बच्चों को आंखों से देखेंगे सामने, बच्चों से मिलेंगे जुलेंगे रोज स्कूल में, तो वो जो कनेक्शन तैयार होता है, that may miss if you give a lot of weightage to technology. Now for educators, what are the disadvantages? It's often a bottom-down approach. Bottom-down approach का मतलब teachers often have to take the initiative with blended learning. As such, there's a need for formal instruction and professional development to support their blended learning performance. इसका मतलब, I'm a very good teacher. I'm a wonderful teacher, okay? But I cannot do blended learning all alone. I need support. I need technology. I need software. I need the support from people to improve my blended learning, to use my blended learning. That means educators need the support of the system, the management, the software to implement blended learning into their classes. In many cases, my friends, infrastructure may not exist. This was my point of consideration. आप बहुत अच्छी blended learning करना चाहते हैं, आपने बहुत कुछ सीखा है, बहुत कुछ सिखाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन आपके पास वो टेक्नोलॉजी ही नहीं है, आपके पास वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं है, तो कहाँ से करेंगे blended learning? तो infrastructure, resources, budget, digitalization, these are some of the areas which must be looked into if you want to do blended learning in your class. Sometimes there are time constraints also. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, पहले आप ऑनलाइन कंटेंट दे दो, बच्चा पढ़ के आएगा, फिर क्लास में अप्लाई करेगा, या आप पहले क्लास में पढ़ा दो, फिर बच्चे को दो डिजिटलाइजेशन के लिए. लेकिन टेल मी वन थिंग, isn't it true that maximum teachers are just racing behind syllabus? तो क्या आपके पास इतना टाइम हमेशा होता है हर टॉपिक के लिए, that first you go online then offline or offline then online? That means repetition of both ways. So sometimes you may face that time constraint also, and you may want to finish it off with one method only, either only online or only offline. कभी-कभी blend करने में you need more time, of course, because maybe you will go for a self-paced instruction module for your students. तो जब बच्चा self-paced होगा तो उसको तो समय आपको देना ही पड़ेगा. अब उसकी मर्जी कैसे वो खत्म करे. So what is the difference between blended and online? Now you should understand. Online means 100% online, and blended means mix and match of face-to-face and online. So online is different, traditional is different. दोनों के mix and match को हम लोग कहते हैं blended learning. You've understood this? I'm very sure it's just a revision that blended learning is a flexible approach to the design, development, and delivery of learning and teaching. आपको design चाहिए, आपको development चाहिए, आपको support चाहिए for that teaching, and this is known as blended learning. I think this figure is lovely. This is a small comparison, my dear friends. Classroom teaching and online teaching. In classroom teaching, you have motivation, one-to-one feedback, personal time and counseling. You can progress tracking, you can guide, you can assess. In online, the children can do self-study, they are mobile, they are self-directed, self-tracked. You can have online assessments, group chats and discussions. दोनों का अलग अलग होगी. अब what is blended learning? दोनों के mix and match को हम लोग blended learning कहते हैं. So classroom teaching, online teaching, सबके अपने अपने फायदे हैं. और blended learning, take some good things of classroom, take some good things of online, mix and match though, get a fantastic picture, and that is known as blended learning. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? I've just put it in a picture form. You can always see this and understand. It allows experiment with learning styles. It is interactive. Online modules are available, unaffected by geography and time. आप कहीं भी रहो, you can use it. You can learn from this. You don't need to go to the class. And what are the disadvantages? Need specially developed courses. You need software support, costly software and hardware. It increases teachers' workload and increases students' cognitive load also. जितना ज़्यादा आप डालोगे ना knowledge, 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 यहाँ से knowledge, वहाँ से knowledge, वहाँ से knowledge, तो cognitive load तो बच्चों को बढ़ेगा ही. Of course, उसके अपने advantages and disadvantages भी है. With this, I come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, my dear friends, for your lovely comments in the chat box. You've been interactive throughout. I'm really indebted for this. Now, I'm open for questions. If you have any questions, please come up. If you have any questions, you're most welcome, friends. Please. The floor is open for questions if you have any. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today is a very long day for all of us with NEET exams tomorrow. I'm sure you all also must be very tired. I mean, your school principals must be tired, making all sorts of preparations. It has been a long day for each one of us, but still you participated and you listened to us, I mean, to me, and that was really great, great cooperation from your side. I'm so happy. I hope I've been able to deliver something of your use. Okay, Mukesh sir, are you there? Mukesh sir, are you there? Any questions? Any questions? Anybody can see? आपके द्वारा डायल किया गया है. Thank you so much. I cannot find any questions in the chat box. So may I leave the session, sir? Mukesh sir.
Ma'am, we can wait for a minute or two. After that, we can wind up the session.
Okay. Still some questions may come up, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. So we can just wait for a few queries, or we can.
Please, teachers. I'll be so happy if I could answer some of your questions, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think, Mukesh sir, we don't have any attendance link, no?
No attendance link, ma'am. It is marked automatically by WebEx.
So some of them are asking. So friends, we don't have any attendance link. Your duration in this webinar will automatically give you the right to your certificate. It will take you ahead towards your certificate. Just the duration is important. Yeah, I told you I'll give you some softwares, no? The name of some softwares for this, which I also personally use. But this was a 1 hour session, so I could not actually show those softwares to you. But I'll just share some names. Friends, one is very, very wonderful software. That's Padlet. 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 Shall I put it in the chat box? I mean, it will be helpful for all of you. Padlet. Then we have one which is known as Mentimeter. It's a wonderful one. Mentimeter. Please try using this Mentimeter. Then we have one more which is known as Word Wall. Word Wall. You can use Word Wall. Then we have Quizzes. Quizzes. I'm just giving you some names, which you can always use. Quizzes. And there's one more, Wakelet. I don't know whether I've been able to pronounce it properly or not. Wakelet. So these softwares you can always use to make your class very, very interactive and get the feedback from students also. Please use them wherever possible. Thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of this session. Thank you, Patliputra Sahodaya, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with this brilliant team. Thank you so much, Mukesh sir. Thank you.